AI compounding has officially replaced my copywriter and it allowed me to go from 12 team members to 7 team members while doubling revenue from 70K a month to 155K a month with my marketing agency. And it will happen to you too. And so, what I want to do in today's video is walk you through the concept of what AI compounding actually is and how can you get advantage from using it effectively in 2025. Now, compounding with AI means that each cycle of using an AI agent not only gets work done, but also improves the system itself. Now, don't worry if you're not familiar with this, we'll detail this overall concept in this video. Now, unlike people or physical team members, AI agents have no mood swings or burnout. They do not require any salary increases, vacation, or sleep, and they work 24/7 without complaint. And so when you pour into the system, it pays you back daily, indefinitely. And so one of our core values at my company is to replace yourself. What does that mean? Is whenever somebody does a certain task, my goal is that every team member, including myself, don't simply execute on the task. So say you're asked to send a client report. Well, you wouldn't just want to send a client report. You'd also want to think, how can I make sure that I never have to do this task ever again? So that through automation and AI, we can therefore progress and lean down the business as we keep on growing. And so, why is this different than compounding with people? Well, here, employees, team members, contractors, they gain skill over time, but they can leave and take their knowledge with them. And this is a concept I shared in one of my recent videos where we have in the online space this sort of dilemma where whenever you hire team members, especially in the coaching, info, and online service provider space, they'll work on client accounts that are printing millions of dollars a year. And so now that gives you the illusion that making millions is easy. And therefore, it's kind of a plague, if you want, that has hit our space throughout the years where team members just hop and go from one business to another in the chase of trying to themselves make X amount of money. And so, after speaking with hundreds of business owners in this online space, everybody seems to have the same problem, which is talent retention. Now, that said, training them is also incredibly time consuming and also costly, quite frankly. And scaling requires proportional headcount increases, especially in online service providing style of businesses. So, as an example, an ad agency, a web design agency, any sort of agency models, you have to scale headcount. And so, the difference is AI agents, once you improve them, they never unlearn improvements. They never forget an improvement. And improvements stack permanently and compound across all outputs. So let me give you an example of that feedback loop in action. So right here is an example. Step one, you use an AI agent that creates a certain output. So you build an agent that helps you write ad copy or landing page headlines or UGC script or perhaps a multi-purpose agent. Step two, you apply first principles thinking as a business owner to spot its flaws, not just edits. So what do I mean by this is I've now realized more than ever, and I highly recommend if you haven't read those books yet, check Breakthrough Advertising right here. Highly recommend you check the book Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, or you read Principles by Ray Dalio, which I also think is an amazing book for you to check out right here. This is great for like life principles, operations, and just overall business principles that you would want to nail. And so going back to my document right here, if you apply first principles thinking, whereas you don't necessarily think in the lens as to like what is the algorithm like right now or what does Facebook want me to do, it's more so okay, how does business work at its core, and therefore what do I need to get as an output from, instead of a team member, what do I need to get from this agent to have it do the job that I want it to do effectively. And once you've got that, you can correct the agent and its behavior. So step three, you do this, right? You correct the prompts, the instructions, the context that the agent has. So step four, the refined agent now produces a better version than it did in version one. Step five, you test that version in the real world. So you end up deploying the ad, launching the landing page, sending the email, fixing your sales script. Now, results are collected and sent back to the AI. Incredibly important right here. This is where a lot of people go wrong, is they'll build agents or they'll launch custom GPTs or they'll use a series of prompt with GPT, but never actually give it the results and context it needs to improve and learn from its mistakes. AI behaves very similar to training a dog, right? You need to have a clicker system or a treat-based system. If you tell it to sit, the dog sits, and then you just go like, great. dog's not going to think it did something great. But then if it sits and then you click the clicker and you give it a treat and you say good boy, now the dog's super happy. It's like, oh, good, I did something great here. I need to do more of that. It's the same thing with AI. If you don't give it, hey, look, this ad you made or this landing page that you made, the opt-in rate was shit because our opt-in rate should be 15% and the landing page you produced was a 10% opt-in rate. So we got to work on it. It won't ever know it's doing something bad nor good. So you need to close that feedback loop with the mechanism that sends the results back to an AI agent. And so results are collected and sent back to the AI. Now, AI learns from the success and failures, just like, again, training a dog with a clicker, and then you repeat the cycle, which each loop makes the agent better. You go through it once again. If you spot any sort of flaws through using first principles thinking, you manually fix the context and the prompts in the agent. Now, once done, you run it again. It gives you a new output based on the results that it got from the last time. You use this output, send it into the real world once again. You collect the results, send it back to the agent. It improves and so on and so forth. And so how does this create true compounding? Well, each improvement to one AI agent increases leverage across every future output from this agent. Not only today's work benefits from the results that the agent has gotten and from your first principles thinking, every other time in the future you or a team member will be using this agent. They will benefit from the time and the results in which you've poured into this agent. So when agents handle different pillars across demand generation, that is basically the entire process by which you generate and capture demand as an online business, you'll feed results back to all of them. And so the improvements multiply across the entire system. What do I mean by that? Say you have a market research agent. It understands your audience better at each cycle of data it gets back. You got a copywriting agent. It continuously optimizes hooks, angles, and CTAs. You got a creative agent. It adapts to what visual styles work best. Landing page agent. You get the point. Appointment setter agent. Sales calls analysis agent. The agents share context together. And so improvements in one pillar inform others. That's if you have a mechanism by which you can feed data to all agents at the same time. Now, why is AI compounding outperforming traditional scaling? Well, scaling with humans is more payroll and more management complexity. Scaling with agents is more cycles of going through those agents, means more improvement, means more predictable output quality. So the more clients you get, the better the business actually performs. And this is the whole point of Jeff Bezos in one of his letters to shareholders, talks about the flywheel effect. I'm going to try and find it right here if I can online. Cool. He's talking about how Amazon and any great unicorn business is built off of the back of the flywheel effect. So with Amazon, the more traffic you get to Amazon as a platform, the more sellers this attracts. The more sellers this attract, the more products there are. The more products there are, the better the customer experience. The better the customer experience, the more referrals they'll give you, so the more traffic comes to your website. And over again. But same thing here. The more Amazon grows, the more sellers there are or the more traffic there is, the lower the cost structure that Amazon can actually have, which means the lower the prices, which means the better the customer experience, which therefore means the more traffic, and then so on and so forth. AI allows you to do this now with any online business. You create a compounding effect where traditionally the problem with running an online service-based business or even a coaching business meant that the more clients you had, the worse the client experience became. And that was a problem. Why? Because that meant that it wasn't attractive for you to go to a client and say, hey, we've worked with 1,000 clients. Now they were like, well, okay, but does that mean you're going to have time to actually service my account now? Does that mean you can actually still work with my business and get me results like you did with X other competitor? Whereas now it's actually an attractive thing. Hey, I've worked with 1,000 clients, which actually means that the thousands of mistakes and winning ads or landing pages or offers or sales processes that we wrote for these clients, now we have it in our database. And you will benefit from all the compounding effect that these guys have had. And now you're like, oh shit, that's great. I will then learn from the mistakes or the successes that thousands of other people in the same position as me have now done. So the payoff is the more you use the system, the smarter it gets. The smarter it gets, the less time you spend fixing or even thinking about it. Eventually, your entire demand generation machine runs with minimal oversight while continuously optimizing itself. So you've effectively cloned your best thinking into a set of always on and always learning agents. And that is exactly what I've done as a part of my AI ad engine system. Everything I've showed with you today, right here, all of those agents we've built, and we've built a feedback loop mechanism that allows us to have data passed through all of those agents. And the beautiful part is I've implemented it across 450 businesses, and we've actually had 5 businesses get to a million a month. We've had dozens get to their first 100K month, so therefore their first $1 million year. And if you don't know this, I've also had the pleasure of working with Iman Gatsi with my own ad architect program, which thanks to Iman's audience, there was 30,000 plus people who accessed Digital Launchpad, which Ad Architect was a part of. There was thousands of students that went through it through Monetize or through Agency Accelerator, which gave me a lot of feedback from this first version of the system that I'm showing here today, which I've perfected into this AI ad engine. So if you want, I'm going to leave a link down below. I'm having a webinar happening within a couple of days. So on August 19th, which, hey, if you're watching this video, you might want to sign up ASAP to it right there. It's a free webinar. I mean, I'm going to be showing the entire system live for you to demo it and give you a hint as to what it would look like for you to implement that inside of your own business. So thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.